Hi, I'm Adnan Mahmutovic and this is Love and Its Discontents podcast. What if there was no tomorrow? What would we do? How would that define our lives and where would we find meaning? Most importantly, how would this affect love? These are some of the questions that the romantic comedy Groundhog Day asks. Starring Bill Murray and Andy McDowell, it tells the story of a cynical weatherman, Phil, who travels with his team to Punxsutawney in Pennsylvania to cover the annual festival in which every February 2nd, a local groundhog is pulled out of his cozy little den and asked if there will be an early spring. The answer is always, there is still 6 more weeks of winter. Phil can't wait to wrap it up and leave, but due to a sudden blizzard, which he ironically doesn't predict, he and his team got stuck in town. What's more, Phil gets stuck in another way. The next day, when he is eager to leave, he realizes it is Groundhog Day again. What ensues is an eternal repetition of this single day. No one knows this but Phil. Being stuck in a place and a time that he hates the most is like living hell. And Phil tries to create some variation, like every single time, every single day is repeated. Yet, despite all the new things he tries, however outrageous and sometimes even lethal, the world around him remains the same. No matter how much he changes, at times even trying to kill himself, there is no progress. For after the alarm clock goes off, it is Groundhog Day again. This causes an existential crisis that he much needed because he refused to appreciate real beauty and value in life. When it comes to love, since the same day is repeated eternally, Phil keeps trying different tactics to get to sleep with local ladies. If he makes a mistake, he simply corrects it the next time around. At first, it is an opportunity to be absolutely perfect at everything. Yet, the one woman that he desires and cannot get is Rita, his charming producer. He desperately tries to learn everything there is about her and stages a number of serendipitous moments which sweep her off her feet, and yet he fails miserably over and over. Although he has all the time in the world, he cannot figure out what he's doing wrong. The more he fails, the more he wants her. The story presents an amusing conundrum and asks questions like, does being in love mean making all the right moves and knowing someone inside out? Phil surely falls for Rita the more he learns about her. But in the end, the point is that she falls for him having known him only for one day. By the end, he has known her for eternity, and she's known him only for a fraction of that eternity. The story plays with the cliched notion of love as the desire to spend the eternity with someone. And yet, it is the immortality that causes problems for Phil. He realizes he does want to spend an eternity with her, but that idea makes love lesser. It is exactly because this eternity is spent in endless lies he is telling her and himself that love cannot be realized, and it is stuck in one place. It is only after he has stopped worrying and learned to appreciate the small things he hated, like the small town and the silly traditions, when he has genuinely learned that to love is to be there for others, and became honest with Rita, that the spell is broken and the next day is a Tuesday. The genre of the romantic comedy, of course, has a happy ending, and in a sense, this story may not be giving love a bad name. Instead, aside from being somewhat preachy, it is, of course, surreal. It is romantic exactly because of that happy ending. But still, in my view, it manages to ask all the important questions about love. We do not need to like the filmmaker's answers, but it does make us think about where the value of love comes from the desire to love eternally, or the fact that love is fragile and that it takes a huge effort to maintain. Phil works very hard every single day of those repeated Mondays to make sure love survives. To love and care is an endless repetition of the same, rather than a series of fresh and amazing moments. Those romantic moments, like the scene when they make this snowman and have a snowball fight with local kids and almost have their first kiss, are unrepeatable. They should be valued for being unique moments. But then, every moment of care they share, even if it looks the same and boring, is exactly where love is found. So, if you haven't seen this film, have a cozy evening with your family, friends, lovers. Not every story has to give love a bad name, not always. Thank you for today, and hope to see you next time on Love and Its Discontents. Until then, much love from Stockholm.